In the last video, I was just about done with the helping all learning styles topic, and that's where I'm going to pick up. In an online course, instructors utilize repetition by introducing a concept and then reinforcing that concept through the tools mentioned above. So all the differentiated learning styles. We have social, self, kinesthetic, oral, logical, verbal, and visual highlighted here. And in each of those boxes, there are various tools to meet that particular learning need. When you receive my PDF version of all of the PowerPoints that I was doing for this PD, you could click on these various links and explore some of the things that were discussed in the boxes. But you'll also, I'm sure, have some training from some of the other teachers as well on these various topics. Social is so highlighted there, the jigsaw template. You can actually copy that and go right ahead and facilitate what we would normally do in the classroom with Jigsaw, where they meet in little groups and each part have part of that topic discussed and to have the research on their own, then share to be able to piece it all together like a jigsaw puzzle. That can be done still virtually with Google Meet and the various breakout groups, or sharing the research slides that they have to do with their group and they chat together virtually. Then you come together in your live meeting and you share it all. So you can still be social when you're distanced and you're learning virtually, or when you have some kids in class and some kids at home. Oral, that should be pretty easy to be able to facilitate for the kids. Auditory learners, there's a lot of different things you can do virtually for the auditory learner and the logical learner as well. We've got that down pretty well with the various games and quizzes online that we can do. I left for you, though, Puzzle Maker through Discovery Education. I thought that would be fun to try out. Discovery Education has a lot of really neat tools that they've upgraded recently. Self, introspective, that's pretty easy for the online learner. You're journaling, you're blogging, you're filling out things independently, you're working at your own pace. The verbal learner can enjoy your directions that are written and discussed in class and reading it and writing and creating songs and rhymes and maybe recording themselves or having a debate in class. Uh, whether that's in the discussion rooms where they're writing or whether that's live. So there's a handful of things there for them too. The kinesthetic learner is a little bit tougher when we're sometimes in a classroom, sometimes at home, or we're all virtual. But I've seen some pretty neat things happening when people were in Google Meet Live, where you have kids following along with some of your hand signal games to help them remember, or songs that where they have like these big, large body movements to help them remember stuff, or acting out parts of the things that they're learning, and they're doing that on camera live. But they could also be doing that off camera as well and recording themselves. Um, Kinesthetic is also about manipulating things. There was a lot of people using slides to manipulate key concepts and drawing tools online. One of the tools that I'm going to be discussing later is Nearpod, and that has a lot of kinesthetic opportunities for those learners. Interactive labs, we're finding a lot of resources through various, what's it called? Through various platforms where you can be using interactive tools on the computer and being able to access your learning that way. I had highlighted, though, online learning stations template. I know students love, and my daughter especially misses having centers in school where they can move from one group to another and be able to work in whichever direction they would like to with at that moment or in groups. So online learning stations template might help try and facilitate that a little bit for that kinesthetic learner. And visual shouldn't be too difficult with online learning. The teacher videos appeal to visual learners, and graphics, much like this Prezi here, has a combination of that in it. Live lessons where you have demonstrations will meet that need, and virtual bulletin boards like the Bitmoji rooms and Canvas tool that was just shared with us recently. They will create really unique visuals that can help the learner have what they usually have in the classroom hanging up all around them. But now we're going to move on to making sure that we're facilitating all of our 21st century needs with the 4 C's and the 5 E's. Do you remember what they are? Let's see. Oops. Here we go. Sorry. 4 C's and 5 E's. Engage, explore, explain. That's the 3 of the E's. And then, because I couldn't fit it all, elaborate and evaluate. Those are my 5 E's. I'm going to go over the first couple, though, first, and show you how it connects to the 4 C's, which we're familiar with for our 21st century learners. Engage, explore, and explain. That's all things that happen during your lessons. And I want to make sure that we're all thinking about how we can foster that level of critical thinking and connection making and collaborating that is needed with online tools. So engage, that kind of gears towards that connecting and sense of wonder with the 4 C's. And you can use the things that are listed in that box next to it: Padlet, discussions in classroom, and then I have highlighted Flipgrid, visual field trip, virtual field trips, Padlet, Prezi, Nearpod, Pear Deck, KWL boards. So as I go through this, I'm going to kind of skim through some of those tools for online for each category. But I want to point out that I did highlight and make links for those of you who would like to get access the PDF version of the presentation so that you can explore further and engage in those topics at your own pace with what suits your needs. I'm going to go over Prezi and Nearpod next in the presentation. Explore, that meets the need of critical thinking, and you're going to want to give the kids opportunities to go on and find information at their own pace and connect with things like maybe kids news and shared slides, and PBS Learning with their virtual classroom has some amazing tools in it, as well as Discovery Education that will help foster that critical thinking, but also that learning through exploring. Explain, collaborating. If you have some live sessions and recorded sessions, you can meet the needs for the students to be able to talk about things and collaborate with each other and make those connections in their own words. Edpuzzle, Flipgrid, student-led tutoring boards. That would be wonderful if you have a discussion board in your virtual classroom for those older learners that like to be that peer mentor and they can teach each other that way. Let's see what's next. Get close up on this one. Elaborate. That meets the connection and creation part of the 4 C's. So you're going to connect these concepts beyond the classroom in your lessons. Find some tools that will allow them to build upon their knowledge and make connections with it. So maybe they are recording themselves and creating something that brings deeper meaning to the topic. Doing Kahoots and Quizlets and creating their own materials, creating their own assessments, Flipgrid, Online Jeopardy. Maybe some you break them into groups and you're able to have like a leader of the group and they're chatting on the side. But I did see websites for Online Jeopardy where you can have people log in and do it as well. Evaluate. You want to have the students prove that they've made these connections and thought critically by doing that for you, and you can evaluate them with all of these listed assessment quiz tools. I really don't think I've heard too much about people having issues figuring out how to assess virtually. It was more of how to organize it so that you're able to see different levels of throughout their time working on something, being able to make those evaluations in the moment while they're creating something like you would in the classroom and checking in on kids. So in this list here, there there's a handful of things that you can use in various ways to get different types of assessments. And now we go to the long-awaited Prezi. Haha. All right. This little box on the left that says Prezi Video for Beginners, when you get the PDF version, it'll be a video there that you can click on. And you can check out how to create a Prezi with your Google Slides, which you'll then have to save as a PowerPoint to pull up into here and do what I'm doing. When you're finished with it, though, which was one really neat thing is, and you can see on the right-hand side, in both those graphics, there's the option to do it live. And you can connect to Google Meet with your Prezi and have a live session and have it recorded then to be able to save and get and have on file in your learning management system so that the kids who are not able to access it at that point in time can check it out later, or kids can review it and watch it again later. It could also be a link though, which is kind of neat. So I'm gonna show you here. You can also then give out a link shared into Google Classroom, and with Prezi, you're able to, like I showed you before, hide your face and have this nice background instead, so you're able to highlight your information better. And you can go back and forth between things, which is great, and you can do that at your own pace. This is just a really nice visual tool for students that you can integrate into Classroom, or you can integrate into your Google Meets, and you can access it again later on, and they have their interactions with you, or they have your voice, and they have great visual tools. So I'm going to go now to the next slide. Nearpod. Nearpod is resource rich. So when I say resource rich, I mean like, yeah, you're really got a lot of tools here in Nearpod. I know people have used Pear Deck in the district, and I know people have tried out some other things where you have your slides uploaded. You're creating these presentations where it can be pushed out to other devices and kids can interact with it, and you can share feedback live. Well, yes, Nearpod does that just like Pear Deck, but it also, and I'm looking at the bullet points on the right-hand side here, includes interactive slides. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, there it is. Virtual field trips in Google 360 is integrated into it. Student data is collected in a couple different ways. You can do it asynchronous as well, which I'm pretty sure some of the other platforms were able to too. And students can share their work to all other devices as well, so you can highlight kids that way and be very interactive. You can use it for homework assignments and save data that way. It's kind of got a lot of new things pushed into it as well than what was in the past, much like Prezi has really upgraded their platform quite a bit. And in the PDF version, on the left-hand side, there will be a video there on how Nearpod works, the new version. So I am now going to stop the video here and do the conclusion in the next video. I hope these things have been helpful for you so far.